had the pleasure to meet Sherry through Beckett. And Beckett had this curious question one day, and he said, I wonder if Sherry and I have past lives together. And that opened a whole big new adventure for Sherry. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So I wanted to take a moment and I invited her to come today because I think that one of the biggest things that I have a passion for is that when we're looking at these concepts of our soul's experience and our soul's journey, we a lot of times can look at it as something far off or not really relevant. But what I've found is it is directly related to our lived experiences. So, real quick, I just want to give a brief summary of what it is I do. So, I'm a certified galactic astrologer. The way I would describe this is it's kind of like if you take regular astrology and then magnify it by like a whole bunch because we're not just looking at the planets, we're looking at the asteroids and we're looking at fixed stars. And the reason why we look at these things is because in the study of this, it is come to show patterns and synchronicities that reveal deep layers to connections that exist in a vast scope beyond just the idea of Earth, but also other planets, other star systems, other galactic connections. And while that may sound very sci-fi, actually in these sessions clients often realize, and I hear, oh wait, actually this is mirroring my current experiences, this is mirroring my present gifts. And so understanding these aspects of our soul journey allows us to kind of dig deeper into what that is. So that is a general scope, a very, very basic scope of what galactic astrology is. So today we're just going to have like a light conversation to see and discuss more about what that means and what it's like to experience it. So Sherry, again, thank you so much for sharing and coming today. So I'm going to start you off with a question. And my first question would be, what would you say would be the single thing probably that was most surprising that you walked away or that you experienced or information that you gained from your session?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Cassandra. It was so great to finally meet Beckett's other half. And I just adore you both. And you know how I love Beckett. He's my brother from another mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised to, I guess, there was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. But I think the thing that I walked away with was the word you used, connected. There were things that you shared that you couldn't have known about me or what I was recently and have been recently experiencing over the last few years or just through the threads of my life.
Yeah.
And things that just that I didn't understand about myself because, I look back on my life and I'm trying to find, that in my physical life that I've lived here. But nothing was giving me information as to why I behave a certain way or feel certain ways or respond certain ways, whatever have you, or drawn to certain people or things. And the two things that really stuck out to me the most was when you said, when you spoke with your guides, home, 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 home. That's what they kept saying, which has been a huge hole in my heart. Like I feel
Mhm.
like that has been the theme of my life, of finding home, whether that is, I don't believe it's a physical place as I've thought more about it. It's
Yeah.
something within myself. And then just my connection to the whimsical, and why the fays and the fairy,
Yeah.
all that. And yeah, and just how it gets just those things that I'm drawn to, and the emotional things that you were saying. And like, guys, it was a lot. Just book a call with Cassandra and she can do it with you. It'll be worth your time and investment. I mean, it's just really, just be curious and open, because I was really blown away.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Okay, so there's definitely some fun things there I want to touch on. We'll
Yeah.
start at the end, a lot.
Yeah.
um, this is true, and I want to just kind of give some more context of some of the things that I've seen or clients have experienced. I like to look at it as when I enter into these sessions with people, it is almost what I'm finding. There is a yearning, a desire to know more. There's a readiness of, yeah, I've got chills. A readiness that's like, I want to start, as you said, fill in some of those gaps. I want to start understanding myself and my soul's experience on a deeper level. That is an invitation. So I look at this, and the reason why, partly, I think it is so rich is in that moment. It's like you're opening a whole box of yourself saying, I want to know. I want to know who I am. I want to know my gifts. I want to know my
Yes.
journey. I want to know what I,
Yes.
understand why I'm tired of tolerating certain things, why it's
Mhm.
so important, whatever that is. So when you do that, you're also then not only opening that energetically within yourself, but then you're also connecting in energy to all of your guides, all of those past lives, all of that information that would want to kind of speak with you. A lot of
Yeah.
times people have energetic exchanges where they'll either be tired, or they'll have sudden shifts in how they eat, or their gifts will
Mm.
kind of like skyrocket. But that, I always like to say, that is part of what you have like embodied or manifested in yourself in this journey through the desire to connect with yourself in a deeper way. So a lot
Mm.
of times there's a lot of energy exchange for one with these sessions, is why I think in part they can feel like a lot.
Yeah.
You would agree, it sounds like.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you talked about like understanding those or feeling those pieces of yourself, but like those gaps, it's like there's a piece of information there that's missing. And
Right.
just to add more language to that is because everything we are, everything we've experienced, all of our past lives, they're already aspects and a part of ourselves. The information is there. It's just kind of waiting to be seen and acknowledged. And that happens a variety of different ways. And it just so happens that often in my sessions, that is kind of starts filling in some of those pieces that allow people to have those aha moments, which can offer significant breakthrough, not because it's something new entirely,
Right.
but because it's always been a part of you. So it's an easy, quick quantum jump to,
Mm.
because it's like, oh, I've done this before. I have this gift. I am this thing. And the session is just helping to fill in some of those pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, quantum physics to me is just this, whew, I'm fascinated by it. But, everything that you shared about what you do, Cassandra, it's, you know, people will go, oh yeah, that's woo woo, you know what I mean? And that's okay, you know, if
Yeah.
you want to define it as woo woo, because it's something we don't understand. It's outside the norm
Yeah.
of what is in our physical realm. But I believe that we are so much more than our physical. There's so much that we don't understand.
Yeah.
And I can go down the rabbit hole, but I think for me, it was an acknowledgement of things that were living inside of me that I couldn't share with other people, you know, because I didn't understand it. I didn't
Yeah.
really have anyone to inform me of, like, what is that? So when
Right.
we got together and you know, you did my chart and you know, all of the things that you shared, it was so freeing to be able to feel seen,
Mm-hmm.
and to have that acknowledgement of something that I know is there, but I couldn't put shape or form or word to it.
Yeah.
So that was huge for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I love how, the other fascinating thing I think I would add is when you talked about it, and one of the things you say you really got a sense of affirmation from was connection to elemental realms and things of curious of that nature. And it's
Yes.
fascinating because you talk about woo woo, but it's so funny how we all kind of have those things that we're like, where it's like it stretches us beyond our, or some people are like, heck yeah, I'm there. That's not woo to me. But it's so funny because for me, Beckett could tell you it's fairies. Like any sort of elemental being or energy, it's never been something I'm like, oh, but it's so fascinating because whenever people connect to my energy, that's like the first thing they pick up. And I know it's a part of my journey, but it's like, it's always that thing that he laughs at me. And he's like, it's that childlike essence. And,
Yes.
all of that, I've been on my own journey with accepting and understanding that aspect. And it does come out, but it's funny because in terms of woo, I can talk about the Pleiadians, and the galactic races. But if you say, elementals, I'm like, which is, he laughs. Beckett laughs at me. He's like, the work you do, it's so, he's like, every day, I'm just like, what on earth? Because of your logic and the things that kind of stretch you.
I think that's funny because you know, I see you, and what gets reflected back to me is that childlikeness, that ethereal, very
Yeah.
playful, very, yeah, fairy like energy, that to me. But you are very much, um like when I was listening back to our session a little bit, how you come from building the structures,
Yes.
you know, building, you're the one that has to, like, okay, we have to have the structures put in place, and
Yeah.
that thing. And you know, while some of us are more the let's play, and
Yes.
yeah,
Beckett is definitely more that. Yes. Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's fascinating. But I think that it's, coming back to also in understanding those different layers, and what it means. For you, it was affirmation to, yes, this is why I'm curious in these things. This is why, I'm drawn to this aspect. And for me, it's brought awareness to, okay, why am I resistant to accepting this aspect of myself that is very much a part of who I am? So that is another example of how, when you are understanding your soul's full journey, when you're looking at your past lives and your experiences, you can kind of look at why certain themes and things feel a certain way. And it's fascinating to me because while I do have both sides of myself in doing this work, I'm continually amazed at people who have very visceral experiences when they discover things of themselves. And one
Mm.
of one of the most frequent is people can feel very activated just by hearing about Lyrans, which is a very ancient galactic race. A lot of people in my sessions will get very like in a response to that. I've been told so many times, a client will say to me, I don't know what this is, Lyra, but I know my body hurts because they
Wow.
remember like the past experiences. The body remembers
Members.
the connection of family, the connection of home, the connection of loss, because Lyra was one of the galactic races that did experience significant loss, like people who have experienced Atlantis might have a fear of the water. So it's
Mm.
interesting because you might go about your life thinking, I am not okay with the water. I don't know why I'm so afraid of this, or for me, I am connected to Lyra. So it's like, I don't know why I'm so afraid of suddenly losing my home, but in
Mm.
understanding your soul's history, you can pull those things together. Was there any other thing that you found surprising that came up to you in your session, that felt like maybe you didn't see that coming, but you're like, okay, actually that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and you can kind of fill in where I don't have
Yeah,
the
yeah,
vocabulary
of
for it.
course.
Was y- when you were talking about how you came in to the
Mhm.
world
Yes.
in a physical body, like
Yeah.
like you chose to be in this physical experience. I, and I was talking to you about how pretty much my whole life, I mean, from childhood, I can probably have I have one memory where I felt fully present in my body and I was happy to be there.
Mm,
And I was probably maybe 5 years old.
yeah.
And I think I shared it with you. I was in this little pink bikini that my mom had
Yeah.
bought me, and I was sitting on my parents had put me like on the top of a lounge chair or something, and I had my legs crossed, and I was so just I was so present, and that was probably the first and the last time that I ever felt like, okay, um, I want to be here. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that I like that experience.
Yeah.
But after that, it was like I always felt angry
Mm,
that I think I shared with you that I felt like I either agreed to it or I was put
yeah.
here, and I was like, why am I here? I don't want to
Right.
be here. Not in the sense of I want to take myself out. It was
No,
more
yeah.
of this awareness of I was just angry in the body. It was
Mhm.
just this
Yeah.
strange feeling. And I've felt that way. And it was going back to what I said previously: home, 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 home,
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
home, home, home. And choosing, to be in this body, to have this experience. Oh, the thing that surprised me was what you were sharing about sort of my origin coming from the beginning,
Yeah.
creating,
Yeah.
of
Mhm.
creation. That blew me away. And I can't explain it. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can, that moment that we went into that deep dive. But my origin of being where that creation happened.
Yeah.
and started.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I mean, that honestly kind of ties into a little bit of two things you said all at once. Because one thing that can happen, and I notice, is the more we start to understand ourselves, the more we step into ourselves, it does get a little bit easy, but also bittersweet. But if you think about it in this way, if you look at it as your soul, as you are in your body, exists the memory of what it's like to be ever expansive, capable, ever loving, none like if you just visualize all of those feelings that internally you remember what it's like. Okay, then you
Right.
imagine being in a place, a body, a form in which that's all not as accessible. It's a total different journey. There can be this sense of um, like imbalance and like I'm dissatisfied to a degree because I know there's more, you know.
Mm.
And I hate to keep bringing him up, but he's a good example. But Beckett he knows what it's like for things to happen quickly. So in his soul records, a lot of his things, they happen quickly, they manifest quickly. So he can have this sense of frustration that he knows more is possible than what he may be experiencing at the time in the physical realm. So it's different expressions in which you can have that sense of remembering. Now, specifically speaking to home, and I have your notes, but I know one of the lives we read, because when you say home, a lot of times I think of Beta Centauri because they are in my work one of the connections that are the most affiliated with the deep understanding of home and connection, which you did have connections to. So it's like, again, if you know what it's like to feel like this immense love and
Mm.
presence and connection to not just people, but elements and land and all this magic and lived experience. And then you're like on Earth and you're like, really? So I mean that
Seriously?
that would make me curious too to have you found that you tend to be drawn to like fantasy or a desire to share anything that kind of like allows people to enter into those worlds? That's an off question, but I'm curious.
Uh, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was why I write fantasy fiction. And growing up was drawn to anything that was magical. You
Yeah.
know, think the first book I read was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, which is like one
I
of my
love the
favorite
movie
books.
Wonka. I love the movie Wonka. I will binge watch that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just anything that infuses magic
Yeah.
for me is it just ignites something in me.
Yeah.
And the book that I wrote, Harriet Honeybee and the Testament of Seers, it's all about magic, but it's connected to family. Like the magic is
Mhm.
the background, but history and family and connection and love
Mm.
is the meat, is the heart of it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I almost don't want to make magic no like it's abnormal, because I think we all have magic in us.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that when you hear people, you know oh, how did you come up with that idea, or how did
Mhm.
you write that book, or how did you create that, whatever it is, that's their magic,
Yeah.
you know? And so, yeah, it is definitely something that I wish I was more, I feel like I still kind of struggle with the physical aspect of controlling what gets
Mhm.
expressed through me,
Yeah.
and wanting to open myself up to the elements,
Hmm.
to have those, that magic move through me into story.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And going back to also considering, like, when we did talk about your origins, which were a little more unique compared to some of the others I've read, and it very much had that vibe that it almost feels as if like you can, I have all these things to play with. What do I want to create? What do I want to kind of like pull in, and the different connections to it. So, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising to me that you have the desire to then create these essence and this sense and connection, revisiting topics of home, or what defines home within people through your creations.
Mm.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You know, being a creator, all of us, I think we're all creators,
Hmm.
and how our magic is expressed through us, and how
Yeah.
we choose to, put it out into the world, if we choose to.
Right.
Um, this, I feel like there's that constant conflict of the physical limitations. And I think that has been my frustration. So through our session, when you were sharing with me how I came from, a lot of my origin is that creation. And I can't remember the other past life where I was a part of a community of people just
Yes.
love.
Beta Centauri. Yeah. That's
That,
the.
yes.
Mhm.
And I was in a happy place. Like,
Yes.
I was just all happy, and it was beautiful and wonderful. It was my community, it was my people, and I feel like I'm still finding that.
Yeah.
But how do, when people listen to this, or if they get curious enough to like book a session with you, because
Hmm.
I think the challenge is how do you incorporate that in the in
Yes.
the physical. Like,
Yeah.
I'm living this physical body, and I think that's my frustration and the anger. It's like, okay, yeah, but I'm in this physical limited. How do
Yeah.
I open up to this unlimited expansion and create with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think in a lot of ways, it's going to be unique to the individual's souls, like what they want to experience.
Mm.
What I can say to this, I'll say this first and then revisit the question. A lot of times, you can find out, like you learned, I am connected to these things, I love these things, like I want to be more of these things. The thing is ultimately when we talk about purpose or sharing or whatever, the idea is the best thing we can do and the quickest way to get there is to release our own personal judgments, limitations, and be the fullness of who we are, regardless. And I look
Wow.
at it as almost like if you look at it from a soul level, and we look at this as we are a collective, and we're a part of this, whether you want to call it matrix, illusion, experience, journey, game, whatever you want to call it, we're in it together. You're a player in it, I'm a player in it, we're bumping up against each other. So what is the best thing we can contribute? Well, that was answered in the beginning with your soul's choice of incarnation, existing, and the gifts and talents and things you are. That is what you contribute. You your
Mm.
fullness. Okay, so then how can you mess that up? Anytime you limit yourself, talk down to yourself, hide your
Mm.
gifts. In the
Wow.
most basic term, there was something connected to a modality called human design that I'm also
Yeah.
certified. And one of the things that resonated and stuck with me the most is they said, your soul's essence is 100% who you are. And it does not have a filter that says, okay, it's okay for you to be this in this time, but not okay for you to be it over here. So, for example, if I'm funny, my aura, my essence is completely all the time communicating that I am funny. If our energies are working together and you, Sherry, come up to me, your aura is sensing, I'm going to go to Cassandra and she's going to help lighten my day up because she's funny. But if I'm feeling like this is a professional setting, I should not, I need to
Mm.
be composed, this isn't going to be accepted, I'm creating a miscommunication to what your aura picked up, and it's going to feel frustrated. And it's going to be like,
Wow.
I don't know what's going on here, but something ain't right
Right.
because I'm not being of my essence.
Wow.
So, when we are learning these aspects of ourselves, the best thing we can do is give ourselves permission to be that because your soul didn't come here saying, I'm going to I'm going to use my intuitive gifts, but only with this certain group of people, not at work. My aura doesn't
Mm.
between work, this group, that group. So I, them, and doing myself a disjustice because I will drain my energy. I
Wow.
will not be myself. I will begin having disease, or dysfunction in what my physical body may experience. I will have disharmony in my relationships. And all of this is coming from because I am trying to be something that I am energetically not. So the best
Wow.
we can contribute is to be fullest of our essence, show up detached from personal judgments and limitations, allow what is created to be created, know that
Mhm.
the fact that you desire it, the fact that you're here with the gift already means the other person that is meant for that is here, but they're just waiting for you to be in your signal, your fullness, so they can find you.
Wow. Wow. I'm re-listening to this replay.
It's easier
Wow.
said than done, though,
It
because
is easier, yeah, said than done.
yeah,
And I don't want to cut you off because
no,
I
you're
just
good.
feel like everything that you said just resonates and makes so much sense because there's so much fear. We don't trust that which comes forward,
Yeah.
or we have well, I'll speak for myself. um I constantly question myself,
Same.
or yeah, or not putting the output because of
Yeah.
the vulnerability that comes with that. You know what? I do have a question, Cassandra. Do you believe that we are all creators? Do you believe that? I mean, I guess it's no. I think you said it. It's how you choose to share it, and
hmm
that you're not in alignment when you show up differently than what
Yeah. You know
is
what?
natural to you.
I think your question is good. In the sense of, are we all creators? I think that if we look at the definition of creation, there's different definitions of that. Do I feel like that we are all capable? Yes. Do I feel like it is all within specific interests to go on certain journeys that express or share your unique visions that are considered creative. I don't know if I would say that, because I think there are different people that have different passions, and maybe perhaps someone, their soul journey is meant to be the friction through language and communication, or maybe there are
Wow.
those that are meant to be defining and or provoking in different ways through language. Or but I mean, language could even be creative. I think I look at creative as um, introducing something that is meant to be more processed from the other side, I think, is how I'm looking at it. Meaning, if I don't need to tell you what this is. It's an expression of my soul that can then be received in
Mm,
whatever way it wants to be done. So that could be through creative writing, where you're expressing yourself. It's coming from the heart, but it's being received in a way that the person is being invited to go on journeys, to have different perspectives, to look at different opinions, art does that, singing does that, where you have an emotional response that isn't necessarily stated. Where I think some people,
mm.
it's more direct in what is exchanged. But honestly, I've never been asked that. So I'm kind of just mentally processing out loud. I
I
think
got
I think
questions.
there's just a I think there's just a specific energy or way of thinking or being that a creative has, that
Yes.
maybe not everybody is intended to play, or chose is the better word. Others may not have chose as a soul to play in that arena.
Right. No, that was a good answer. Because it makes sense. I mean, it does make sense. And there was something I wanted to share about our time together. And I hate when it comes and then it goes, but I think it's in the choosing. It's in the choosing of, you know, having this experience. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. I feel like, because I think we talked about this in our session, I feel like there are some souls that come here in the physical body who choose to be here that know, oh, I knew when I was 2 years old. I knew when I was three.
Yeah,
What, like they are fully embodied, like they show up
yeah,
fully. And
yeah,
I've seen some of those people, on Oprah or whatever. They're just
yeah,
children with knowledge that how in the world could they know these things?
yeah.
Or, someone who's an entertainer, oh, I knew from a young age this is what I wanted to be. And
Right.
they aligned with that. And I think it's what you said earlier. They didn't show up any other way than who they knew they were. I
Yeah,
am a artist, I am a singer, I am a dancer, I am a writer. And so they tapped into, they move through life that way. And it's not until maybe they started believing, people that said, oh, you're not good enough, or you're not this,
right.
and it's almost like like you said, the sickness comes in, the
Mhm.
self-doubt, because you're
Yeah.
not, I think the sickness comes in not so much in the belief, is that you're not living your
Yes.
your truth, your
Right.
energy, and
Mhm.
you're disconnected from it. And
Yeah.
I've experienced that. And I don't, how would you suggest, or I'm not advised, but what's in your experience, how people can stay connected to that, do I say field? I don't want to
Yeah.
give
No.
somebody I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. And yes, what you're describing as far as like the disease in the body, like I feel like it is in being vibrationally trying to be outside of what your natural essence is designed to be. So it's a misalignment of sorts. It's like I'm trying to think of an analogy, and then I'll a couple of the questions you asked, but it's like if you try to unnecessarily like walk, I don't know, if you decided I'm going to walk backwards all the time and this seems more acceptable to walk, that's exhausting, right? You'd be
Yeah.
like after a while you're like, this is draining to try to walk backwards. Well, that other person's walking backwards and this person, so that must be the most, I should look like that. And your body's like, what are you doing? Like, this is
Mm.
exhausting. You are designed to be this way. So it's kind of like just choosing little things, that those little misalignments regularly drain your energy. So
Right. Yes.
how do you understand that? Well, for one, I think the easiest thing I could say is get to know yourself and be okay with who you are, because it's when we can accept differences and acknowledge, I don't have to look like this, I don't have to be like that, it's okay. There's space for me in my essence to show up entirely, that I can. But the problem is a lot of people, I think, they don't know themselves and they don't know what they want and they don't know their heart.
Mm.
But I feel like the heart helps guide us towards that which is true of ourselves. I've always said to my clients, I said, listen, you can, on my YouTube, I say this all the time. I love doing sessions and you'll leave with like a lot of rich information. But also at the end of the day, there are many different ways to get there. And one of the things you can do is sit down with a notepad and a piece of paper and write down everything you notice, like the cultures you're drawn to, the places you're drawn to, the different time eras you're drawn to, the animals you're
Wow.
drawn to, the things that bring you joy, like what excites you, what would you do for fun, if money wasn't an object, like start sitting with yourself with those things and you will find your soul. You will find your true essence. If you're drawn to certain cultures and time frames, you probably had past lives there. I see it time and time again. If you
Wow.
are drawn to certain colors, those hold frequency. For example, when I was building my confidence, I found I kept eating orange foods and drawn to orange colors. Orange is the sacral and it's creativity and it's desire. And so it's like I was allowing myself to desire the things and be the things. And it helped me to feel like, yes, this is what I want. Yes, this is how I'm showing up. So it's like these signs are all around us all the time. So, how do we stay aligned? We stop second guessing, questioning, concerning how it's received, and coming to a place that says, I am here because I'm breathing, and therefore I am here breathing in my fullest essence. So, everything that I want to experience, there's somebody or someone or a group or something on the other side of that coin that equally wants to be in exchange with those circumstances. And the more I get out of my own way, the more I
Mm.
have those dances, those engagements, those
Wow.
conversations. And that's going to feel incredible, right?
Well, this feels incredible. It resonates it's like drinking a fresh, glass of water, you know, you've been in a desert and you're like, ah, this is a good glass of water. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I I was curious too. how did you get in alignment with this Cassandra that we get to
Yeah.
see here? Like, when, because you're young, and I like, were you always this way? Are you tapped
Yeah.
into it? Was it, do you
Okay.
mind sharing? I
Yeah.
don't think I
Yeah.
always get to ask you that.
No, good question. Good question. And real quick before I answer that, I also want to say to your question about the children, yes, I absolutely believe that there are some souls that come in, not with as thick forgetting, that do know and can tap in easy. And I think that there's a lot I could say about how we're evolving and growing as a human race, that you're going to see a lot more of that, but that would be a whole nother conversation, because that's a big rabbit hole. But to answer your question, how did I get here? Well, so I believe that there are certain destiny points in our soul's experience. And what I mean by that is there are certain things that we absolutely are meant to go through. Yes, there is free will, but I feel that when we look at the topic of free will, we have to remember that we are a soul in this body, and the soul is what chose the initial experiences. So whether or not we feel this earth person here body has free will to decide, the soul, which is equally I am, decided. So I experienced a spontaneous awakening. So I was raised in what would be defined as a religiously abusive home. It was kind of beyond just a simple, dynamics of a religious Christian upbringing, but it
Yeah.
was dysfunctional to where it was used in harmful ways.
Yeah.
We were very isolated from family, from everyone. So this was not on my radar. We didn't even believe in dinosaurs because they were like a distraction and ploy of the devil, because dinosaurs were in the Bible. So that was like false fiction. So very, very, very fundamentalist. And I didn't entertain any of this. I lived most of my life feeling inadequate and very fearful of the rapture, um, and that I was never good enough. I ended up having
Mm.
a spontaneous awakening during a solar eclipse where overnight it just kind of, I awakened. I started
Wow.
talking about things to do with astrology and connecting dots and having like breakthrough after breakthrough of realizations. And the people that I worked with the next day, they were like, "You don't feel the same. You don't talk the same. You are not who you were the other day." Even my spouse at the time, I was in a relationship for 20 plus years. And he as well
Wow.
was like, "Who are you?" Within a month, I was having my intuitive gifts opening. Within 6 to 8 months, I was certified in human design and could recite the whole I Ching. And it just continued to build. Within a year, I had a full clairaudient gift where I had a direct line of communication to my guides. So, yeah,
Wow. So you just opened up to it
yeah,
and
quickly.
didn't allow your experiences from your religious background.
Yeah.
Because I
I, you
think a
know,
lot of people, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, it's fascinating because actually I felt more of a sense of a loving God after my awakening than I ever felt in a religious container.
Right. And I think that's the word, container. I mean, I come from, you know, a modest religious background, but then when I got older and I started seeking
Yeah.
that there was more to this world, even religion, that container,
Yeah.
I started opening myself up, and then ended up being in a similar type of a situation for years, in a church. Um, and I think I think it was an experience that I needed to have
Yeah.
to help me understand God in the way that I needed to in relation with other people.
Right.
But then as I grew, you almost kind of expand. That expansion happens,
Yeah.
and I met my husband there, and some beautiful friendships that have remained from there. But it just
Yeah.
exploded, imploded, whatever you want to call it. And you
Yeah.
know, I think I've always felt all these other things that I've ignored because you were told not to.
Right. Yes.
And that's a rabbit hole I'm not going to go to, but I have reasons of, feeling like why they don't want us to.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
but I feel like you were able to be so free and not let fear of this condemnation, of this fear, of this, you know,
Yeah. So I think the biggest piece for me, and I think this ties to why I love what I do, is
yes.
because I lived my life trying to be anything and everything that I felt everybody else wanted me to be. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. And it was quite literally killing me, it was draining me. I was
Wow.
ultimately disowned by my family. My family connections don't really stay in contact, and even in I did in transparency, I did end up walking away from the relationship. I lost every friendship I had, but what kept me going was this sense of feeling holding within myself that I understood
Mm,
myself, that I didn't feel guilty anymore, that I recognized it, that I could be more than what I was subscribing to everybody else was saying that I was.
wow.
That I said over and over. I would try to walk through the relationships, but I would say, I will not go back to who I was. I have an opinion. I have an understanding of who I am, and so that feeling was so self empowering that I was like, it didn't matter how hard it was. That sensation and feeling like I understood and I had me was what fueled me to go forward. And spiritual awakening, I did it rapidly. Within 3 years I was
Wow.
completely certified in everything I'm training on and doing sessions, and I went through it so quickly. And as we are here in this time, I feel like a lot of people are going through similar experiences quickly. So this is why I love the work. And this is why people, when they have sessions with me, it's quick jumps, it's quick realizations, it's quick realigning to who you are. And because that sensation and that feeling, it
You're
was,
not letting go of that.
yeah.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. Feeling fully embodied when you have that moment. And I have had, and this is a question I have for you. I know we have it's 11:55. I don't know how long we're
You're
going,
fine.
but
Yeah, go for it.
um, um, that do you think that people have these awakening moments and they shut it off because of the fear? Do you believe that not? I don't know if that's the question. Through your work, um, because I feel like that has happened to me where I have experienced these awakenings,
Hmm.
but closed it off because I was too afraid.
Yeah.
Do you think that we can still, or that life brings us back? We're going to try this way. We're going to move her this way. We're going to, Like
Yeah.
it's working for you to open that yourself up to fully embodying who you were meant to be here.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, I do think you can shut it down out of fear. I think you can walk away from it. And also, yes, I do think that it is not avoidable. So when we start seeing circumstances in our lives where we have moments where we are in a relationship, we walk out of one relationship and then we're in another and we're like, wait a minute, I'm having deja vu here. This situation is the same. I think that there are,
Wow.
what I have personally found is when I do these, sessions with people and we start looking at your past lives, I think a lot of times we assume that we have an experience and we grow and then that's it and we move on to the next topic.
Right.
Instead, what I find is usually a soul will choose about 3 significant subjects and they will visit them in every angle through different ways, different circumstances. Sometimes we're the good guy, sometimes we're the bad guy, sometimes we're the one that stays, sometimes we're the one that leaves. But we find whatever our interest is and we explore it through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, because
Wow.
it's in learning to get the 360 view of that subject. So then it can feel like when you're given an opportunity to awaken, to shift, to change, and you shut it down, it's going to come back around in another relationship, in another circumstance. Beckett and I joke sometimes when we are going through something hard and we're like, it don't matter whether I'm going through this with you or someone else, it's unavoidable. And that is the nature. So it's like, when you know that, it's like, I might as well just like buckle up and go through what I'm going through now, because I don't want to start all over again.
Right. Oh my God. I wonder what people think when people who are on who feel, like it's just
Mhm.
connecting, because it's connecting for me. And I think, I don't know, I feel like there's like you are so, I look at you and what you offer for people. It's like your soul's purpose. You're so in alignment with it that, you know, you're able to offer such value, because you truly have embodied. You're not dipping in and dipping out and dipping in and no, maybe this isn't it. Like, you wrestle with who you are, you know what I mean? We all do. But
Yeah.
it looks like you're staying true to that gift.
Yeah, it's taken a little time, even though yes, it's been quick. I'd say the degree in which I am very like I've said and I will say I tend to be very logical. So it has been a journey getting out of my own way, and honestly, Beckett has helped me a lot in that, because
Right.
at my core, I am a rule follower. I'm not the rebel. I like to check the boxes. It makes me realize I'm doing my thing. I'm in line. I'm
Yes.
productive. And he just throws all of that out the window, and when I use my intuition, it's like I have to have my candles lit and I have to have this thing and I have to sit in this way. And he's like, you don't need all of that stuff, and he's asking me questions like, ask my guides, when do I get off the struggle bus? And I'm like, you can't say that. And he's like, yes, you can. You're taking this way, but that's the thing I've had to learn is I've had to learn that it is all a part of us. Our guides, our signs, our signals, our essence can communicate it to us in all sorts of ways, in all sorts of moments, because it's part of us. It's not this higher up thing that we have to, be in a line, be in submission to, or that is above us. But also it's helped me to realize I have to get out of my own way, because time and time happens that if I don't say the thing, that it ends up coming up again, or that I end up being embarrassed. One time I was talking to someone and I started to doubt, because I was in a group of people and they said, Cassandra, when you said it, when you say they told me, who are they? And I assumed everybody else had the same, this was early in my journey, that everybody else was using the same gift as me. And I was just kind of catching up to them. So I had a person approach me shortly after that got in my head. And I was channeling, because that's my strongest gift. And I was channeling and I was telling them all these things about themselves. And they were just, oh my gosh, like mesmerized. And I got in my head, like, am I doing right? Is this okay? Did I say so? And all of a sudden it shut off. I could not say a word. I was so mortified. I stood there like deer in headlights. And the person was like, are you okay? Like, I don't want to drain you. And I was like, I couldn't even say, I just was like, and the second I relaxed and let it go, it came back on like I didn't miss a beat. And that night, my guide said, don't doubt what's flowing through you, that this is your gift. Don't get in the way. You're not able to like force or fake or anything, this ability. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna like understand. I see the flow and honor that, but also like I have to get out of my own way. Once I heard again fairies, because that's my little thing, and I connected to her energy, and they were saying fairies, and I didn't say it. I skirted around it, and they had like crystals. And she pulled a crystal and it had a fairy on it. And she's like, oh, I love fairies. And I was like, I should have said the thing. Right. So I had to fess up. I had to say, well, actually, your guide said you're connected to fairies, but that's my thing. I didn't say it. I'm sorry. And she laughed about it. But it's so late as I've grown, I've learned. I was like, no, I've been embarrassed one too many times. Like I say the thing. It's none of my business.
That's say the thing.
Well, yeah.
How do we, tap into that? Like, what would you suggest to people? Obviously, I highly recommend people, scheduling a session with you. And how would you? Is there a practical way to apply? Like you said, you have your logical, and you have to have your candles, and you have this routine. Is there some way that people can tap into that magic or those gifts, and in a practical way?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe what you're asking is like, we all have these abilities. We may or may not recognize them. How can we start to familiarize and kind of like build that relationship within ourselves?
Yes. Exactly. The relationship within ourselves. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So yes, we do all have these intuitive gifts, and a lot of they call them the Clairs. It's different for everybody. We all have them, but usually each of us has like a top, 1 to 3 that are most comfortable. And the easiest way I look at this is we can call them magical and all that, but here's the thing I tend to look at. It's just a fuller essence of what we're actually capable with, that we've kind of like drowned it out. And I don't know, I've always been one of those people that are like, okay, birds can migrate with like magnets, and like bees can communicate to operate in hive intelligence, and whales can talk against like extended distance through sounds and sensing. I'm like, why can't humans do like
Right. Yes.
things that can't be explained? Why can't
Wow.
I energetically connect to someone that's like, through vibration? Reiki is something, a lot of people know. It's like energy healing. It's like energy, it affects you. So, anyways, my point is they're connected to the senses. For example, if you're a cook and you are someone that cooks and you don't need a recipe and you just have a knowing in your head that what it's going to taste like, guess what? That's an intuitive ability and gift. It's all of these things. Anytime you have a gut feeling, that's an intuitive ability. For me, it's hearing. So for me, it's an actual voice is my strongest. So I don't have like that inner voice monologue a lot of people do. So for me, it's very obvious, when I'm hearing something, because otherwise I'm not normally having things go on in my head. So the first thing would be is just to kind of begin to not look at these things as something that's only for a select few or those outside of ourselves, but they're all just things we all can have access. Approach it with curiosity, not as something you have to master, but as something that's already there that you're just tuning into and getting to know better. So if you do want to, there are quizzes or tests you can take about Clair gifts out there, or you can just tune into it yourself. You can listen to me talk and say, you know what, Cassandra, actually, there was that one time I was in the grocery store and I had that weird nudge that, that person was sad, or that I had that weird hint that maybe I should delay and it ended up avoiding something. Whatever it is that you sense or feel, just even opening yourself in relationship to your guides and or angels, if that's what resonates, and say, you know what, help me get to understand myself and my abilities more. And then you just have to be open to allow yourself to play with it. And there are all sorts of ways to do that. Yeah. Hopefully that helps.
I love that. Oh my God, it helps so much. Do you work with people with that? Is there different modalities that you have in your sessions, or is it specific, or how?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I would say yes, for those that are in session to want to work on those things. So I have different ways I work with people. Like we just did one session, but I also have what I call soul permission, which is a complete experience with me where we work over months of time together. And it allows you to, for example, you had your session with me. Perhaps you came back to me and said, you know what, Cassandra, I get in my own way with my writing. I understand that I have all these aspects and I want to paint pictures of new worlds with words, or I want to not doubt myself in this or whatever it is. Or maybe you say, Cassandra, I had this dream, and that's a gift. In the dream, I saw this thing, and I feel like I'm meant to share it. How can I share it? Through description of my writing or through painting or whatever it is you do. So yes, I work with people in taking their sessions and saying, this is what's coming up. This is where I'm having challenges in my life. This is why I use the words all the time. I'm not willing to tolerate this anymore. Like when we get so sick of holding ourselves back, it's like, gosh, I'm tired of this feeling. I had one person do one session with me and it was recorded. And she said by the time she went back and listened to it, like a couple of days later, things shifted so quickly she couldn't even tolerate to hear herself talk about the problem because she knew the answer and did not resonate at that energy anymore.
Wow.
And so yes, to answer your question, I can work with individually to talk about the gifts, show you in your chart like where your strongest gifts are. Your guides will tell you what your strongest gifts are. They'll give you directions. There's actually another subscriber that had done this whole process with me. I won't name names, but yes, she was able to recognize, her own gifts and experiences in it and how it drastically changed how she showed up. And so, yeah, hopefully that answers.
Wow.
Yeah.
It does. It just makes you go, we need another session. For sure. And I'm like, I need to get in a session with you before you get crazy, because I hope this goes out to it's kind of like word of mouth, and
Yeah.
the people who need to hear this will find it. It'll get to them. But I feel like, especially with the writing, like getting in our own way and just having those breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Margot, who's live with us, we've been engaging back and forth. She hasn't had her session yet with me. It's coming up. But yeah, she's been on the journey of everything unfolding too. So yeah, but it's fun to talk about it. And I really appreciate you for sharing your experiences and helping people be able to see on the other side, like what it feels like, because I can talk about it, but it's like to have the experience to say, oh, okay, yes, this helped fill in dots. This helped me understand myself differently, and look at how these things are in my life. So thank you so much.
No, thank you, Cassandra. You're a gift, a blessing, both you and Becca. I'm so grateful. Through my brother from another mother, that I got to meet you, and that I got to sit in session. I call him Bud. But I really am excited because I really feel like your gift it's so needed, because it just opened me up. It just, and Margot said it, you're like a coach. And I think that we all do therapy. A lot of us do, all these kinds of things, but it's really not tapping into those gifts. And you explain it in such a way that is accessible.
Yeah. I would love to share one last thing with that when you said that, because one of the most interesting things I've experienced in my time is I actually had a talk coach, therapist, professional, do a session with me. And I just, her guides led her through a past life, and, we went through the things, and I'll be honest, she said, what you just did in moments is what I work on in multiple sessions with people to get to that place. And I knew it's not about me. Again, it is about the person and opening up to their soul. It is like a way, it's different sitting down and being skeptical to therapists. It's something else entirely to say, again, I am not willing to tolerate this anymore, and to open up your soul's records and to dive into that, and how quick, it doesn't have to be long, how quick change can happen. So yeah, I thought that was really fascinating. So yeah, awesome.
No, that's awesome. Well, I'm like, I need to set up some more time with you.
It takes time to integrate the first session, though. Usually when people do it, I'm always like, take 60 days to like let your life like but yeah, I feel you. So yeah.
Well, you're amazing. You're
Thank
a gift, and
you.
people should be, you're amazing, and I'm grateful to know you. This was so special, and I'm so
Thank
glad that
you.
we did this.
Me too. Thank you. You're beautiful. Your soul is so beautiful and you're a delight. So
Thank you,
awesome.
Cassandra.
All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us and have a good one. Bye.
Bye.